Hey everybody, Jim the Tabletop Engineer here, and welcome to my workshop. This is not a gameplay video, just to catch you up with what's been going on here in my workshop. So, some of you may or may not know this. I have a laser business. I mention it a lot, but I do have a laser business. And last week, my laser died. It's 3 years. I've been running it for 3 straight years. I mean, it runs like a machine, like a racehorse. Is that what it is? Or what's reliable? Runs like a deer. Is that what the John, the commercial John? Never mind. Anyway, I'm tired. It's late. I have been working all day trying to catch up because last week my laser died. And what happened was the laser tube in the back. It's about a 5-foot long tube, glass, very, I wouldn't say fragile, but you don't want to go juggling it. It just died. It started losing power. I started noticing that the cuts through like 1/4-inch wood, they were not going all the way through, and then it tanked to almost just barely etching the surface. So when I started noticing that, I immediately ordered a new laser tube. Now, for those of you who are ever interested in going into the laser business, I'm going to throw a number out there that's probably going to scare some of you off, but I'll explain the number. It's not as bad as you think. The laser tube was $1,000, like 990 or 980 something. And then I ordered it with 2-day expedite, which was another 160. So I spent about $1,100 on a tube that is going to be shipped from Texas to Atlanta, Georgia. It's a lot of money. Now, granted, it should last me 3, maybe 4 years. I've learned a lot with my laser on how to maximize the tube life by reducing like the power for certain types of cuts or engraves and things like that. Way more information than you need to know, but just I think this time around I'll probably get closer to 4 years out of the tube. It's really hours. The tube has a certain number of hours that it will produce an optimal level of cutting power. And they say it's between 3,000 and 4,000 hours if you're interested in that. So I ordered the tube, and if I break it down over, let's say I get 4 years out of it, that's going to be a cost of $250 per year. My sister does my taxes. It will be an expenditure for the business. So, but it's still a lot of money. And because it's so much money, when that tube came in, and I'm going to put a picture up in this video of how it was shipped. It's shipped, now first off, the tube comes in a cardboard box, a long cardboard box. And then what they do is they rotate it vertical and they attach 4 springs. Waste not, want not. I actually cut them out of the box afterwards because I'm sure I'll find a use for these. Look at that. That is an industrial sized spring, like really powerful. 4 of these at the top, 4 of them at the bottom. And it attaches at the 4 corners of the box top and then the bottom. And then they ran, how was it? This was attached to the box, and then from here to the crate, the cardboard tube is inserted into a wood crate vertically. They slap a lot of stickers on it that say, this is the top, you can lay it down, but you're really supposed to keep it with a part of the tube pointing up. They probably don't. You can't trust shippers. I'm sorry. If you're a shipper out there, sorry, but you just can't. So it's in there, and it's got this like shock absorption system right in the crate. So this is attached to the crate with some metal staples to really hold, like 2 per, really heavy duty staples. And the whole thing just sits in there and it bounces around. And it's a really, really well done system, because when you order the tube and you get it, you're given 3 business days to file a claim if it's damaged. So the minute that thing arrived, it arrived late in the afternoon. I brought it down, I photographed it. The box, part of the lid had been pried open, which irritated me. I don't know if UPS, it came UPS. Yeah, UPS. Part of the lid had been pried open, which aggravated me, but the cardboard box itself inside was intact. So you know me, I record everything. I recorded and photoed my opening the crate, which required a crowbar, a small one. I could have used a hammer, but I had a crowbar. Then I got the cardboard tube, and I sliced it horizontally, and I opened it, and then I inspected the tube. The tube looked 100%. I mean, when I say I looked it over $1,000 worth, if you know what I mean. I mean, I gave that tube a good looking over. It looked good. So the next thing, it was late at night or later in the evening, and my laser's in the workshop. The light down here is not great. And I didn't want to get started on something that I might have to call. First off, I was tired. It was the end of the day. I didn't want to get more tired. I didn't want to make a mistake. So I put it off to the next day, the next morning, to get the tube, the old tube pulled out and the new tube put in. I got my son, he's 17, I got him to help me. Could I have done it on my own? Yes, it would have been, I was a bundle of nerves. I mean, when I took the old tube out, and there's tubes that run like water for cooling, there's electronics, wires that run through it. You have to disconnect them in a certain manner or in a certain order. I don't really think that's true. The video that I watched and the instructions I followed, which Thunder provided to me, I don't think you have to do everything in a certain order, but I did just because, right? I don't know everything. So I followed the instructions, got the tube free, lifted it from one end to drain the water that was in it out. There wasn't a lot, but there was enough water left in it. You had to drain it out. And then I carefully lifted that tube out. I don't know why I was so careful. I do know why I was careful. Because if you shatter it there, you got a bunch of glass to clean up. So I'm sitting there like, my hands aren't quite shaking, but I'm just like, oh, please get this. I had the cardboard box on the other side of the lid. So I lifted it up and I had my son watch me, and I carefully put it in the box. A box, not the box that the new one is in. All right, got that out of the way. Then comes the fun part. So the new tube, man, let me tell you something. When I lifted that out, it was like the Lion King. I was like, oh, it was like I was holding it up high because I didn't want to ding it on something. So I told my son, I was like, watch the ends. Make sure I'm not coming, when I turn slow, make sure I'm not going to crack it. So I walked slowly over, and I handed it to him, and he held it up high, and then I got behind the laser and we transferred it because I didn't want him to feel guilty. If it was going to break, it was going to be on me. So I took it and I lowered it in, and once it was set, there's a V groove there's two V's on the back, and the tube fits in there. And it's really the best way to do it, because if the tube is the same diameter, and it is, because these are machined tubes, it will fit in there exactly as the old one. Now, I did measure the distance from the tip of the laser where the beam comes out to where the first mirror is that reflects the beam. And it was like 37 millimeters. Again, more information you need. But once I got the tube in there, I had my son help me, and I measured it and we adjusted the tube. I don't think the instructions said that it doesn't matter. The laser beam, it doesn't matter where the exit point is. But when you're trying to do something back to the way it was, the engineer in me, I was like, I'm gonna measure it. So I measured it and made sure I was back at 37 millimeters. Then you start strapping everything down. There's these rubber tubes that go over it that hold it in place. Then you start connecting the water tubes. There's one on this end, there's one on this end, there's electronics on this end, there's electronics on this end. I started connecting it all, and then I closed it up because you don't want to have everything open when you fire it up. Closed it up. I was pretty confident at this point. I took a photograph of everything, so I was able to look at it and go, yep, that looks exactly the same. These wires go in the exact same places. Now, thankfully, almost everything is labeled, or it only fits on one thing, so it's kind of hard to make a mistake. But trust me, I've learned over the years, if a mistake can be made on something this intricate or this expensive, you're gonna make it. So it's best to double check everything. I had my son double check all my work before I closed it up, fired it up, it moves, but that's not the tube, right? That's not the laser tube. So I put a little piece of wood in there, and I came over to the software, and I had a square that I was gonna cut, and I was gonna engrave my son's name on it. And I said, okay, here we go. I pressed it and poof, it worked. It cut and it engraved, but something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. So it would cut for like an hour and then it would lose power again. And I knew the tube was working. It's not the tube. I was like, it's not the tube. So I went and read the troubleshooting documents, and it recommended that you examine the lens. I take out the lens, which in itself is a little, they're not super, they're $65, okay? It's a little lens about the size of a quarter, a little bit smaller than a quarter. And 65 bucks. You can get them cheaper, but I don't go cheap on my lenses. You can buy cheap lenses and they will last as long as cheap lenses. So that's all I'll say on this matter. The lens was coated in a residue. I cleaned it off with a lens wipe, which is what you're supposed to use. You know, it's the chemical won't hurt the lens and things like that. Put it back in, fired it up, it cut again. Another hour goes by. I open it, it's not cutting. I open up the thing, I look at the lens, it's got residue on it. What had happened, again, more information than you need, but there is an air hose that blows down air with the laser beam. And what it does, it makes it so the smoke doesn't come back up and cloud the lens. Well, that's what was happening. Smoke was getting up in there and clouding the lens. So I put my hand down there, not while I was cutting, and there's two test buttons you can print, high pressure, low pressure. Both of them will blow air. The high pressure, psh, no problem. Low pressure, nothing. I don't know if maybe I bumped it. I don't know. Something happened with the low pressure. Now you can adjust it manually with this little turn screw. So I turned it until I could feel a little bit of air. The low pressure is for engraving. The high pressure is for cutting. That's really all you need to know. So when it was engraving, it's burning dark letters into the wood. It's producing a lot of smoke. And that smoke was just going right up onto the lens because there was no air coming out. So once I figured that out, we're in business. So while I'm doing all this is about a week ago that a week ago that the old tube started failing, and then just yesterday I figured out that it was the air. Got it, started working. It was like at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm gonna get up tomorrow and I'm gonna go crazy. While all this is happening, my orders are piling up. Now, I didn't miss any deadlines, but people right now for Christmas, my ornaments are just, I send out 5 and I get 10 new orders. So you can't get ahead. I use the weekends. Well, this isn't a weekend. This is actually the night before Thanksgiving. But it's like a weekend for me because my kids are home and my wife's home working. And so I came down here this morning at about 9 o'clock. It is now 5:40 p.m. I have been cutting and grinding all day. No gaming, no nothing. So I have cut about 100 of these little, 100 little rocking horse ornaments. I've cut about, not 100 to sell. So throughout the year, I cut a lot of wood and I end up with a lot of scrap. And I'm gonna put another picture up right here of my scrap pile. It's just a bunch of 2-foot by 4-foot sheets of plywood. And I've got maybe 30 or 40 sheets there that have little bits of wood here, there, and yonder. And what I do every Christmas, well, I say every, I've only done this for 2 years. This will be the second Christmas, but last Christmas I started. What I do is I use my scrap wood and I designed this little rocking horse that can be cut with like the minimum amount of wood. And I just start using my scrap wood and cutting. I've cut about, 60 or 70 of these today. And what I do is I carry these in my car in a box. And when I'm out and about in the world, I just give them out. I see a little kid, if the parent's not looking at me like stay away freak, I say, I've got a little Christmas present for you, and I give them one of my ornaments. The wood would normally get thrown out because it's little scraps that I find very difficult to use with most of my bigger projects. But for things like this, I can do it, and it might send me some work. I've cut probably 30 trains. I don't have a train. They're all boxed up and ready to go out in the mail Friday, not today. Tomorrow's Thursday. I also I've been designing a new ornament, and I finally got around to testing it today, and I got it, and it went through about 4 prototypes today, and I finally got the final one. It's an airplane with a propeller. The propeller does not spin. It's got a message on the side, the year on the wings and on the tail, and it turned out really, really well. I love it. I'm just so proud of it, and so I'll be having to list this tonight on my Etsy shop, and hopefully people will like it. That comes from a request. A friend of mine asked if I would make an airplane. I had in my mind an airplane for a while, and I think it was him asking. So thanks, Howard, a friend of mine, Howard, for asking for a plane. It lit a fire under me to get the plane going. The other thing I've been working on, when you have a laser business, you try not to stand still. You gotta keep coming up with new products and things like that. So I made this file cabinet box for cards for Arkham Horror, the card game. I made it like a year or more ago. It was way too expensive. I can't sell it. I might sell 1 or 2 a year. With time and material and labor and all that, it was going to be like $260 plus shipping, and there was no way I was going to sell these. But somebody asked me if I could make the individual shelves like standalone. So I've been working on that, and what I've got here is I've got the box. Oh yeah, I didn't screw this down. So I've got this box that I'm going to that will be where that holds the Arkham cards. It has a little pull tab on the front that you can put a little piece of paper in to label it. And then this box still has tape. It's drying. This goes in. Come on. What did I do wrong? It goes in. It worked earlier. Oh yeah. It goes in, it just slides, and then you pull it out. If you ever make a box that closes, drill holes in the back. Otherwise, the vacuum, you'll be like, you can't pull it. You got to put holes in the back so the air has a place to go when you push it in. But it's gonna be a little. I'm gonna stain it. It's gonna be nice, pretty looking little thing, and it's enough to hold 1 campaign of Arkham Horror plus if you want to keep the investigators and their cards in there with it, you can do that, or you can just put whatever you want in it. But it's really nice. The next thing I'm going to do with it is I'm going to put these little monster claw feet on the 4 corners so that it can sit on a table, and it looks pretty cool. I don't know, I've got to price those out. It may be that they add too much price, and in that case what I'll do is I'll probably make some little wooden feet for this to keep it off the table, or I may put little soft pads on the bottom. I'm not sure yet, but this has been something I've been working on now for a little while. And what else did I do today? Oh man, my 3D printer's going because I'm printing some more 3D scenery for a Frostgrave and Stargrave game I got coming up. Oh yeah, I showed you the airplane. So one of the reasons you haven't seen a lot of videos lately is I've been busy. I probably should have, a month ago, I probably should have made a video that said, hey, the month of December is going to be like really crazy for me, and even part of November. I do have more videos for you, and I apologize. I know you guys are wanting more videos, and you will get them. I'm not done. November, December for me is just, it's just 2 of those months that I can barely keep my head above water. So I appreciate your patience as I try and catch up. Normally I'd be still producing videos right now, but because I was so far behind on my orders, I had to take I got to take today, and I probably will do some tomorrow because I'm not caught up yet. But maybe by Friday or Saturday I will be caught up, and I'll be able to return to editing some videos and getting you some gameplay videos. So anyway, just wanted to give you a little bit of update on what's going on in Jim's workshop, and there you go. Probably more information than you wanted, but I felt like I needed to explain where I was and what's been going on. All right, if you have any questions about lasers, ask. I'll do my best. I am not an expert, but I tell you what, I have learned a lot in the last few days about fine-tuning this laser, about air supply, not the band, but the thunder air supply, the tube, how it works, how to dial it in. I had to do a mirror alignment, which I skipped over that part, but when you put a new tube in, sometimes you have to change the alignment of the mirrors to get that beam focused down properly. Had to do that. That took about 4 hours, and didn't take any pictures because I was doing it myself. Should have had my son come down, and it was crazy. It was crazy. All right, that's all I got. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me, guys. I will be back very soon with more videos. Just hang tight, and I promise I'm not done. All right, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving. If you're in the USA and you're celebrating, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you and your family have a great one. For those of you traveling, safe travels. Safe travels home, because I know a lot of people are away from home and with their families at this time of the year. So have a safe travel home, and I will see you very soon. Everybody, take care.
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week, the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.